Welcome to the show, Dr. Shruti. Thanks for joining us today. It's not every day we get to speak with a criminal psychologist. Could you start by telling us a bit about what drew you to this field?
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. What drew me to criminal psychology was the complexity of human behavior. I have always been fascinated by what motivates people to commit crimes and how we can understand their actions from a psychological standpoint. It's not always about the crime itself, but about the deeper layers of a person's mind that shape their decisions.
A lot of people think of criminal psychologists as people who simply profile criminals, but there's so much more to it, isn't there?
Absolutely. Profiling is a small part of the field. The real works come in understanding the root causes of behavior, whether it's trauma, mental health issues, or even societal influences. Every individual is unique, so we look at things like their background, experiences, and psychological state to understand why they may have turned to crime.
That's a great point. So, what would you say is one of the biggest misconceptions people have about criminal psychology?
One of the biggest misconceptions is that all criminals are inherently evil or malicious. People often see crimes in black and white terms, but the reality is much more complicated. Many individuals who commit crimes have experienced deep trauma or have untreated mental health conditions. Understanding these factors is key to figuring out how to prevent crime in the first place.
That's definitely eye opening. With that in mind, what's the most challenging part of your job?
Hmm, I think the most challenging aspect is separating a person's actions from their motivations. It's easy to judge a crime based on its outcome, but understanding why it happened is much harder. For example, someone might commit a violent act out of anger, but the underlying cause could be years of unresolved emotional pain, abuse, or untreated mental illness. It's about peeling back layers to get to the core issue.
That sounds like a lot of emotional weight to carry. How do you manage the psychological toll of working with such intense cases?
It's definitely not easy. I have to maintain strong boundaries to protect my own mental health. I also make sure to engage in regular self care and supervision with colleagues. It's important to debrief and talk through challenging cases so we don't internalize the emotional weight of the work. It's all about balance, understanding the importance of what we do while taking care of ourselves so we can continue to help others.
That's a great approach. So, for our listeners who might be curious, how do you see the future of criminal psychology evolving?
The field is constantly evolving, especially with advancements in neuroscience and mental health treatment. We are increasingly recognizing the role of brain development, childhood trauma, and genetics in shaping behavior. In the future, I think we will have more personalized, science backed methods of prevention and rehabilitation. A key focus will be early intervention, addressing issues before they manifest in criminal behavior.
That's hopeful. It sounds like there's a real shift towards prevention rather than just punishment.
Exactly. The more we understand the root causes of crime, the more we can focus on rehabilitation and early intervention. Punishment alone doesn't solve the problem. It's about giving people the tools to heal and integrate into society in a positive way.
This has been such an enlightening conversation. Dr. Shruti, thank you for sharing your insight with us today.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's important to have these conversations, and I hope we can continue to raise awareness around the complexities of criminal behavior.